Am I right, Brent?
Too easy.
What's more complicated is to play hurt. That helps you name the thing, all right? Now try that. All right.
From the top.
There you go, Brent.
You just heard a short clip from Sing Sing, a movie where a wrongfully imprisoned man, actor Coleman Domingo, finds purpose in a theater group. Director, co-writer, and producer Greg Cuidar joins us alongside producer Monique Walton. They both live here in Austin. We're happy to have them and proud to do it. They're going to tell us about this new film. Y'all, good morning.
Morning.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. Yeah. All right, Monique, we're going to start with you. Y'all's background in film, I was asking off camera, is pretty interesting. But yeah. Monique, we've got you. You came to UT, we got to keep you. Tell us about how you got into film.
Yeah, I got introduced to film when I was an undergrad, actually. And I was up at Yale University and took a class with D.A. Pennebaker and Chris Hedges. And it was an intro to documentary film. And I just got really intrigued by telling stories and also sharing stories with other people. I realized it was a way to connect to audiences and to connect and meet people that you wouldn't normally meet. So I lived in New York after I graduated and then eventually decided to pursue filmmaking and really learn the craft, and heard about UT and thought it was a great graduate program, and so I moved down to Austin.
Yeah, and you said you liked that the classes were small. You guys got to make 4 short films during your time. Yeah. So she hit the ground running. Here we go. All right, and then Greg, let's hear about you.
Slightly different path. I was an accounting major at Texas A&M.
That is different.
Yeah, and actually when I got bit by the film bug, I dropped out of accounting in the middle of an exam my senior year to be a filmmaker.
I know your parents clutched their pearls.
I mean, they were kind of like, you could have just finished the degree. You were 6 credits short. But I think, for me, it was about cutting the parachute cords. I was going into such uncharted territory, and to have accounting like always waiting there with like a guaranteed job offer just felt like instinctually I needed to like really leap for this big dream.
Okay, I think that's wonderful. And so this is not either of your first full-length films. Y'all have done a lot of work before, but I want to focus on Sing Sing. So Greg, can you tell us a little bit about the movie's premise?
Yeah, Sing Sing tells the story of one of the nation's only theater programs inside of a maximum security prison at Sing Sing in New York. And the film follows the production of a very unlikely play, which is a time-traveling musical comedy called Breaking the Mummy's Code.
Whoa!
Which we follow from casting opening night, but really at its core, it's a story of a friendship of these 2 men who couldn't have been more different from each other. One of them starring Oscar nominee Coleman Domingo as this man Divine G, and the other Clarence Divine I. Macklin, who's actually playing a version of himself in the film. And these men couldn't have been more different from each other, but through this work and this circumstance, by the end become closer than family.
Oh, it's wonderful. And I love seeing some of these ensemble pictures getting together. Monique, y'all chose to include formerly incarcerated actors. I want to ask you about that choice and why it was so important to y'all.
Yeah, so part of when Greg and Clint pitched me the film, they told me that they had done 6 years of development on this story, and they had formed a relationship with Rehabilitation Through the Arts, and through that had met all of these amazing actors who had gone through this program while they were incarcerated. And so they knew at that point that it was really important to bring their voices to the screen and to bring their lived experience. And so I also, we have like a shared sensibility of like working with communities that are telling these stories in a way that there's like an exchange of ideas. And it felt like the most powerful way to tell this story was to actually cast from within the RTA community to have them bring that lived experience to the screen.
It's so cool. It kind of gives me chills. I want to ask a little bit more about, the prison system itself. Greg, are you guys trying to create a conversation for people to have, once they watch what is based on a real story, this movie, about the way the United States prison system works?
I mean, to interrogate that system, no one film could fully explore the complexities and how thorny this issue is, and it's one that's very much at the forefront of a lot of Americans' minds. I mean, we're the most incarcerated country in the world per capita, and yet at the same time, this movie, though, we're not setting out to make an intellectual argument around the issue. What we're trying to do is make an emotional one. Mm-hmm. And to present these men, many of whom actually went through this program, to let the camera draw close to their faces, to look into their eyes, to hear their stories. And once you do that, you see these people as full human beings. And once you see them as a human being, it's impossible for them to be a number or anything less than that. And through that, I think, experience of watching this film, there's this transformation that occurs of like this possibility of what a future might look like once we embrace our full humanity. And within this program, the most staggering, this is a real life program, Rehabilitation Through the Arts, known as RTA, in New York. They've been around since 1996. In our country, the recidivism rate of people's likelihood to come back to prison within 5 years of their release is over 60%.
Wow.
Graduates of this program, less than 3% ever go back to prison.
So it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean,
That is
the
crazy.
proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, absolutely. And Monique, I want to ask you about that as well. You know, I'm guessing, I do not know, but a lot of these folks who are incarcerated may not have been exposed to art programs maybe before they're in prison. For example, in this prison in New York. Can you talk to me about the transformation that people have as far as exposure to it, what we can actually be as people, how we can grow? Because I can see that there might be kind of a machismo coming in, right?
Yeah.
Versus arts where you have to get a little bit more in touch with yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, some of our cast had definitely expressed to us that if they had had a program like RTA when they were growing up, that they may have never even gone to prison in the first place because it created an outlet for them. And one of the things that we learned is that in RTA, it's really about the process. It's not necessarily about the finished product. It's not about putting on an amazing play, even though that is one of the results. And that during that process, you go through this kind of like shedding your mask and becoming more vulnerable. And I think that was one of the things that the men shared and that we tried to capture on screen, of this vulnerability and this openness that comes from going through this process with this community. And so I think that was really an incredible piece that we really wanted to show.
Absolutely. Boy, I just can't wait to see it. I'm really impressed, y'all. And just real quickly, Greg, with the few seconds we've got left, it's hitting theaters Friday. Who should come out and watch?
I mean, that's the interesting thing is like anyone can find something of their self in this work, and there is a bursting heart of joy at the center of this, despite the environment that it's set within. And I think any of us can relate to that of just like, we don't have to settle for misery. We can choose joy. We can celebrate the friends in our lives. It's best seen in a theater when you bring someone that you love to sit next to you and to share all those feelings, because you'll feel a lot of feels.
And then you're going to want to talk about it a lot after the movie, so maybe plan
so.
dinner afterwards. Okay. Y'all, congratulations. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, Sing Sing hits theaters in Austin this Friday, August 9th. Learn more about the movie's concept on our website and follow along on Instagram to see more of the cast at Sing Sing Movie.